Only one of the two males were with the pride, and this whole movement seemed to be led by the lionesses. There was a lot of calling, and they definitely had an agenda. Some other lions had been on the floodplain edge. We had picked up some of their tracks, and clearly this was the motive for this pride to be moving so quickly and also to be so vocal. Lions are interesting in that way that they do a lot of vocalization. What this does is lets other lions know that they are around, and if you can move intruders out of your territory by just calling, then it limits the actual conflict. It's quite an effective way that animals actually can move around each other. It was quite a hot day despite the season, and the pride, being quite full, took shelter in a bit of shade on the edge of the floodplain. They were still, however, quite focused, watching and scanning the opposite tree line and also listening very, very intently. When it was almost dark and cool enough, one of the lionesses in twilight went for a drink. The rest of the pride followed, and they continued their march, heading west towards Dead Tree Island. Found the pride, this time all together. They were in the center of Dead Tree Island, and they wanted to be heard. After several roars, they began with a bit of bonding. Both males were there. The dominant of the two had joined the pride. They started moving towards the inside of Dead Tree Island, cutting right through the middle. There are a few small pans left. They were largely diminished, and the pride took advantage of stopping and drinking on their passage through. After drinking, they disappeared into Dead Tree Island forest, and we went around to wait for them on the floodplain. It was on this floodplain that we came across this elephant bull. This bull had the most incredible ivory, and also being drawn out from the dry interior, was making the most of the nutritious swordgrass that grows in the water. pride did come out onto the floodplain, their crossing point on and off Dead Tree remains the same, and continued their move back southeast into the heart of their territory. Vultures follow all predators, specifically lions. We found our dominant male with a female from the interloping pride. Hooded vultures and others that were gathering took to the air, picking up a thermal, realizing that there'll be little food available from these two. The two lions were in the sun, and they shifted very, very quickly to a termite mound that had a little bit of shade. In the heat that the lions were hiding from, big breeding herds of elephants were forced out of the Mopani forests and onto the floodplains. They were accessing the water and the grass and the lush vegetation that surrounded the remaining water. Bulls mingled with the breeding herds, trying to catch the scent of females that were ready for mating. Bulls find it quite hard to hide their intent. Mating with elephants happens on the female's terms. Males find it very difficult to keep up with them. The agitated herd got together and pushed through the floodplain. This was in the path of the mating pair of lions. Lions were not looked upon favorably. Later that day, we found a much more relaxed herd, slowly moving through the crotons and then out across a big open area. There's something mystical, slow and rhythmic about a big herd of elephants when they move across a very open area. Just incredibly beautiful to watch.